Hey, I'm Jim Johnson, your host here with Contractor Radio, and I want to thank you for taking the time today to listen to our show. And our show is all about you, helping you get control of your business so you can grow your business and find that personal and financial freedom you're after. So, hang on tight, episode's about to start.
Yeah, I always think it was this reputation thing. Like it's what people perceive about you is your brand, the way they see you. And so you've taken it because there's a lot of different ways to do it. Some people do it with this top of mind marketing approach where it's like billboards everywhere, TV commercials everywhere, and you just can't avoid it. So it's just embedded in you all the time. Others do a little bit like what you're doing, which is this giving back and being really involved in the community. You said you said two words that were put together that really kind of meant something, and it was showing up. Like you actually showed up to go do something. And I think so many people look at this opportunity of generosity, especially in our world, but we do okay. Like as a roofing contractor or a painting contractor or, any kind of contractor that's good at what they do pretty well financially. And they tend to look at it as their way of giving back is like, here's some money. Now go help whoever, right? Because I'm busy doing this other thing. Why the show up approach?
Kind of felt natural. I mean, it's brought the company together. We do it together. It's something that everybody adopted. We're all in. Everybody's all in, and it's something that's really kind of held the culture and strengthened it.
Was that something that was previous to the whole COVID thing? Like you guys tended to lean that way anyway?
Organic, yeah, it's all organic.
Wow, that is wild. Like there's so many negative things from COVID, right? Like we don't like to be around people anymore. I can work from home. Hey, I can sell stuff online. There's all that stuff, right? And there was so many people that were damaged from it, from a mental health aspect. You guys almost flipped it on its head and found something inside of yourselves that wasn't there before.
I think what people need to realize is that there's vehicles out there that they can partner with. They don't have to do it all themselves. And we didn't realize how much Salvation Army did. So we're there to support them. We're not there to run it. And so with a small amount of help, we can give them the teamwork, the partnership together can do more. But us together trying to put something together would probably be a bit of a
Okay, how would somebody go about finding the thing they're into? Like it sounds like you guys, Salvation Army, you do some. It's not really Meals on Wheels, but it's similar to that type of idea, but for the homeless, right?
Right.
We're going to talk about the Maddie Farr Foundation here in just a minute. But how would another contractor out there, if they're thinking about this, I actually want to get my hands dirty approach, how would they go about finding it?
There's a lot of organizations out there, but what we found, and just the first one that we partnered up with, that Salvation Army does all those. I mean, they give aid to the elderly. They give aid they have a women's shelter. They have a rehabilitation shelter. They have all of those avenues, and they're boots on the ground too. So if you're looking, we found that if we were looking to kind of figure out what made us drive or what we are passionate about, that was such a great place to start. Because there are so many different avenues that the Salvation Army could lead us.
Well, so
we put it out in front of the team to find something to do too. Other organizations, we said, is there something that's near and dear to your heart that we can help contribute to? So it was kind of a team effort, and Salvation Army is the one that stuck over time. We're 2.5, 3 years in with them now, but we put it out to everybody, and we've done some other things outside of just this.
Do you find that it has an impact with your client? Like, do you talk about it? Like how this business facilitates your generosity and your ability to give back and hopefully in an authentic way. Like we really just like to do this.
We hope. We hope. I mean, I hope that they see, we do get a lot of calls and stuff like that around Christmas time when we're, doing the angel tree. But what we did last year, it's starting about, we actually, from May till May of this year, May 1st, we donated, it was $50 from BFAR and $50 from the homeowner. And we clearly stated it in their proposal that this cost of your roof, whatever the price was, includes a $50 donation on your end, and we're matching that $50 for you. And at the end of the year, we're going to give basically $100 per roof to the Salvation Army. So December of last year, on top of donating to the Angel Tree and on top of adopting the 40 angels, we were able to give I think it was $21,700 check to the Salvation Army. So small on a $15,000 roof, $50 is so small, but accumulated over the year, it was a big deal. And so,
So Paul, all this happens. It brings you to this level of influence. And I noticed there was a change in you. Like you went, this stuff isn't feeling good. I want to do something that I think is something missing in our industry. And I'll never forget you guys putting on Storm into a New Era. I think that was the point where I went, maybe he's not full of shit. Like maybe he is serious about this thing. And I was honored absolutely to come and speak at the event, be a part of it, be engaged in it. And I went, hey, you know what? These guys are really trying to do it right, not just from a business standpoint, but from a human being and spiritual standpoint. I don't know if that could ever be replicated again. That very first one was just different. Do you agree? This last one was great, don't get me wrong, but that first one was just like, wow, that's the first time I've heard that many people talk about God.
100%. I don't think it could ever be replicated, and it was at the right time, the right place, with the right people there, right? Like I wish there would have been a football stadium full, right? But there was 250 people, the right people in the room, and it was, one of the most powerful things I've ever been part of. And that came directly off of, being at other events, that it was like, there's gotta be other people out there, that have the same ideals and same thoughts and want to do things different.
Well, I think the best part of what came out of that was there was now like clearance given. There was like, hey, it's okay to talk about God. It's okay to talk about ethics and morals in business. It's okay to not talk about all the taking advantage of the insurance company possibilities for supplementing under the sun. It's okay to talk about those things, about being a good human being. And what you guys created was this, since it was okay, everybody could go talk about it. And I think that's the piece that not a lot of people click to from that event is you see the Eric Oberums, myself feeling clearance to like go and talk like, hey, it's okay to talk about this stuff. And I just want to say thanks for that. Thanks for doing that. And what I think that's done for the industry since that time. There's more and more, but I feel like there's this welling towards being professional, ethical, and faith is okay, which I don't think is a bad thing. So after that, you're like, okay, that was pretty cool. Well, let's start a nonprofit. So tell us a little bit about that and what spurred that. Why did that happen?
It 100%, Roofers in Recovery 100% came from going to a conference in Vegas, and one guy unfortunately passed away in a hotel room, and then a very good friend of mine that I actually was his sponsor. He went to the conference. I had suggested he didn't go, but he went. And within an hour, he was drinking and getting high, and he went on a 3-day run and either jumped, fell, or got pushed off of a 40-foot overpass and literally died, I think, 3 times. He was in the hospital, I think, for about 45 days or so. And when we left there, it was like, hey, we need to really kind of give back. And what did that mean? That meant like, okay, there needs to be a place, kind of I hate to use the word, a safe place for people when they go to these events, because what are most roofing events? They're pretty alcohol fueled, right? Even the calmer ones, right? There's a lot of booze flowing, and why? Manufacturers and suppliers, they provide a lot of booze. It's just kind of part of the business. And so we wanted to kind of create a meeting to where, you knew that there was other people like you that were struggling, and you could hang out with those guys instead of, going out to the after parties or doing whatever. So that was the start of it. And then from there, it was a phone call. I called Eric one day and was like, "Hey, I want to start a deal. I'll put in 10 grand, you put in 10 grand, and let's send somebody to rehab, in the roofing industry." And so that was the start of it. At that time, it wasn't a nonprofit. We just, thought we would have a charity and send some guys.
Yeah, the Paul and Eric charity.
Yeah. And so very quickly, with obviously with my wife, Kim, we started the Roofers in Recovery and had to get official and hire a lawyer and spend a bunch of money to get qualified and make it a 501c3. And so from there, that was the start of Roofers in Recovery. And the intention of Roofers in Recovery is to, have a group in our industry that, it's okay to be sober. It's okay if you're having an issue, like, hey, we're here to help. And so what we do now is we get notified either by the owner or a boss or a friend or a spouse that, hey, this person is struggling. And we get on a call with them and kind of interview them and kind of go through a few processes. And if they qualify, which, most of them can or will, we send them to a 30-day in-treatment center that we pay for 100%. And from there, we kind of try to mentor them and sponsor them and get them involved in our Roofers in Recovery group.
Keep them on the straight and narrow. Like the 30 days is great to get them. What's the right word for that? Is it just to get them clean?
It really is because, to be honest with you, the first 20 days you're kind of recovering. You're getting some sleep and some food and getting your mind right. And day 31 is really when it starts.
Yeah,
day 31.
I'm
day
out
30
now.
is
What's my
a
next
good start.
decision?
Yeah. Yes.
And a lot of people make poor decisions. So Roofers in Recovery really is the outlet to hopefully keep those decisions on the straight and narrow. Is that a fair way of understanding it?
It really is, because we all kind of look for commonalities, right? Like we don't want to feel alone. Like none of us want to feel alone. And the cool thing about Roofers in Recovery is, we all have like trigger points. How many times does someone get upset because, well, this homeowner is mad because the drip edge color is wrong and she won't pay the last $1,800 check. And so you go get drunk or high, right? But go tell that to a normal person and they're like, it's not a big deal, whatever. But because we all have like these experiences, we're in the same business, we have the same issues. Mrs. Smith is mad at us for this, and this guy did that, and the crew caused a leak, and blah blah blah. And so it's just like we're a group of common-minded people that are searching for recovery and to stay clean and sober.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch. We've been fortunate and honored to help with that as much as we can, whether it's straight up giving, helping you guys promote something that you're about. What was the biggest challenge with bringing on a salesperson?
For me, it was, will I be able to, this was a guy with a family, right? He had just gotten married. And it was, and still is for me, anytime I hire somebody, the challenge for me is, okay, they're putting their life in my hands, and will I give them the opportunity to succeed? And can somebody actually succeed at this? Really, back then, the model wasn't so well known, right? We didn't know that a salesman can make $100,000 in a year. So here you are thinking, oh my goodness, this guy is going from a job where he knows his income, and here I just offered him a job, and I don't even know how I came upon it, but I decided he'll be paid commission. I think I gave him a small base, but it was mostly commission. And he said, yes, I want to do it. And I'm like, oh man, he wants to do it.
You found the right guy. It sounds like he was hungry.
Yeah. And, I very specifically remember soon after he started with me, I took a trip with my family to South Africa to visit my parents, and I was so concerned. I'm in South Africa. He's over here. He's supposed to sell a few jobs while I'm gone, and will it happen? Back then communication wasn't so smooth as it is today, as far as getting on.
You mean you weren't sending texts back and forth between South Africa and Texas?
Not those days. Those days you probably paid $5 a text. Now it's $5 a day, I think, for everything.
Yeah.
But communication was more of a challenge. But yeah, I remember, me and my dad having some talks about that. That was really, I considered my first high risk move in business. Everything else I had covered, but hiring a salesman for me was a big step, because I felt like he needs to make good money. And can I provide?
What did you do to ensure that he made it? Or did he? I guess that's
he did. He did.
Good. Okay, good.
He very much did. What did I do to ensure that I'd say, as I would say today, when a salesman comes to work for us, he doesn't have to apologize for our company. So he doesn't have to worry about our reputation. I think that's a huge thing. If I'm going to go sell for a company, I don't want to have to apologize for them on every turn, And so I say, what did I do for him? Well, I gave him a good company to sell, a good name to sell. We were not, the little bit of size we had we were reputable, and we could list our references, and he could walk into the supply houses and know that we pay our bill and so forth, So I'd say I gave him a credible, visible company.
Like you gave him a brand with a reputation he could trust.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
And he helped us build it, Then from there on, it's a snowball effect, You can work with that.
So he came in, he starts, did you supply some training of any kind? Did he already have some background in it? Like, what did that
he worked as a salesman, but it was a salaried position at the company called Tough Shed. They build sheds. Are you familiar with Tough Shed? Yeah. He worked for them for a year. Yeah. In fact, I think the way that it worked is he worked for them. We were friends, and he said, "Man, this is what I do for Tough Shed. I think I can do this for you." I believe that was kind of the
God's
story.
providence right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most guys don't get that lucky. That's not usually the way it goes. It's like, hey, will you come to work for me? Yeah. You got some sales history? Yes, I do. But then there's this training, and you got to get them all this like knowledge that they didn't have before, and you hope they make something out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big struggle for a lot of guys whenever they first start is, you know how to sell it because you have all this experience. You've gone through the ringer on a lot of it. You've got a bit of a personal reputation. So now your word of mouth stuff is taking care of you. But this new guy doesn't have that. How do you get that to him quickly?
Yeah, today it's easy. I send them to you.
That was nice. I did not pay you to say that, but that was nice.
No, but I mean, I look, nothing like that existed 15 years ago. That I knew of. I mean, not that I knew of. You were in the industry. Was there anything like that?
Only in my building.
Only in your building. Yeah.
We had created it. We put it, we had a whole sales training manual, put together videos to go with it, like that kind of stuff. Like I knew if I was going to scale, I had to get salespeople making quickly. And so it wasn't about teach them everything all at one time. It was teach them what they needed to do to get to the point of making money. So we call that concept time to money. How fast can I get somebody up to speed on something that may not have any kind of, at least construction background, maybe some sales ability, but not some construction background. So they got to learn, what's the difference between a flat roof and a pitched roof or steep slope? And what does slope even mean? And what are asphalt shingles versus EPDM versus built up and those type of things, and rafter systems and truss systems. And you got all this knowledge that you just go, everybody should know that, right? Well, they don't. And it takes some time. And that's what I think most small contractors run into whenever they're trying to go from solopreneur to like scaling their business. is they think this guy is going to come in and do really well right from the get-go. They don't all get lucky and get some guy that has some construction background.
Yeah.
And so they do this ride along train, like watch what I do and
Yeah,
mimic
yeah.
me, and then you
Yeah,
start
yeah.
doing that yourself. But that takes a
Yeah.
long time to learn that.
You know,
So-
I was fortunate. This guy was a self-learner, but and then ride-alongs and just getting introduced to the industry. But man, today it's so much easier. I mean, you guys do this, and I guess there's a few others, but so nice. You have the platform. I just, they log in, they go through the courses.
Yeah, it's
Man, if you can't do it with all this info, then
yeah, might not be the industry for you.
yeah.
So, okay, we get our first sales guy. We've got our admin gal, but now today, if I read things, 52 employees. You guys do about $1
Yeah,
million a month.
we've actually cut back a little bit over the last couple of years. Maybe COVID has something to do with that, but really our revenue hasn't dropped. Just our model has changed a little bit. But yeah, we have 52 employees today. The majority of those are sales and admin. We still employ quite a few technicians. I would say total of about 20. But the world has changed a lot. In fact, we dealt with that a little bit today in our business. We have to adapt. I like the old-fashioned way of business where everything is under one roof. We've got finances, the sales, and the production. It's all there. Everything happens there. We've got all the equipment, all this. We put our guys through, certified trainings and on and on. But I have discovered, and I've had to come to the model today where we have to rely on subcontractors. There's such a shortage. I mean, the technicians are not knocking our doors down. You know that.
Yeah,
So,
it has changed a little bit.
yeah.
And I see it done both ways.
Yeah.
People that want to stick with having technicians, we got to build a pretty strong training program. We got to go recruit pretty hard at the high schools and technical schools, and really almost build like their own education thing. The thing I've noticed is that for doing the trades, the money has gotten a lot better. And so there's been a shift in the last 2 years of people it was always going down, people getting into the trades. The last 2 years, the first 2 years in 17 years that it has gone up getting into the trades. So what that tells me is that the income is validating what the effort is. So it's good to see. I hope it continues. It's not this big, huge shift, but it's at least going in the right direction. So if you were to go back and do it all over again, or you are a mentor to another person that's getting into it today, what would be the 2 or 3 things of advice that you would give them when they're first starting out?
Yeah, probably some of the things we've already discussed, like, what are you good at? And you keep doing that, then hire people to do what you cannot do. I think if I was to restart a company today, I wouldn't be so heavy on trying to build my own in-house crews, because there are plenty of crews out there that you can get to, skilled people, and then just learn how to oversee them. But yeah, I would tell a young entrepreneur, you yourself need to understand finance as much as you possibly can. Know what a P&L looks like and what a balance sheet is all about. You should know those things, but then hire people to take care of that for you as quickly as you possibly can. And then be as much as a people person as you could possibly be. Build as many relationships in your community as you could possibly build. I think I lacked in that some, not going out as much as I should. I do now, but I think one should in your early years, join the chamber, join every networking group you possibly can. Visit with every insurance agent in town, visit with all the realtors in town. Go to all of those things and make yourself visible and and be confident about that. I think that's a big part of landing the right kind of work.
I couldn't agree with you more. Building that strong network of relationships that there's value back and forth, right? Like the Chamber of Commerce, you just went with them to Billings, Montana, right?
Yeah, how valuable, man. Yeah.
Yeah, like you didn't have to do that, but you willingly did. And so there's this, wow, that guy stepped up and did some nice stuff for us. I want to help him out. There's that kind of a feel that goes into
Absolutely.
reciprocity, right?
Yep. Yeah,
What
absolutely.
do you think has been the single biggest factor in your success? And I mean, you've been doing this for 30 years. Nobody does this for 30 years without being at least some level of success. What's been the number one reason for that, do you think?
Well, I think I'll ascribe it to at least two things. One, in my early 20s, I had a friend that was very generous. He gave to charity a lot and very easily. And I saw that, and I was attracted to that. And then after I came to faith, I realized that, this is part of our relationship with God. And so I've tried to be very generous through the years. And so, we don't give so God would give back to us. But I will say that, I feel like a lot of if what is perceived as success is, I try to just be a channel. So that's definitely, for me, it's number one. But from more of a human standpoint, I would say that between reading and a willingness to grab a hammer if I need to, and everybody that works for me knows that they know that I read, and they know that if there's work that needs to be done and nobody's going to do it, that I will physically go and do it. And I will sweep the floor if the floor doesn't get swept, and I do it. I gladly do it. So I think those are some factors, probably the two big factors for me.
I find it like you said, because I heard you earlier when you were talking, like it was ministry and this. You were just kind of doing two things at once. Then when you moved to Texas, really became the business. And then you said you don't give to get back. You do it because that's what we're asked to do. Like there's actually scripture that backs that up, right? If somebody asks, and you have it, give it. So there's this general. But you said something that it really caught my attention. You saw somebody being very generous, and it attracted you. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, I think it just matched. It just matched what I was learning in my faith, So here I was seeing an example of somebody that wasn't holding on and hoarding their wealth. They were, for them to give everything away that they just earned today was not a big deal at all. God will provide again tomorrow. So why hold on? And so when I, seeing that, this guy was almost like a father figure or an older brother to me. I'm like, man, this is the way to live. Why not go for it? And
it's scary though, isn't it? It's scary when you got a family, you're responsible, you got people working for you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so this money, I'm going to give it away. Like, here, you have it.
Yeah.
And it causes a bit of worry and anxiety, even though we're not supposed to feel that.
Yeah.
We're supposed to trust God's going to provide the next day, like you said before.
Yeah.
It has been such an amazing journey for me, because I've gone through this thing too, where I saw some examples of it, and it was attractive to me. I don't think it's attractive to everybody. I think it's more rare than we might assume. That I think most people are like, well, we see the guy with all the money, and he's like got all the fancy stuff and the planes and the cars and the boats and all that. and I want that. But what we don't see is the guy that's like giving away, like he's not announcing it out loud. You usually have this influence, this person that you were close to,
Right.
that
Right.
you see that. I think it's the coolest thing. Is really what I was hoping to talk with
Yeah,
you.
it's really, it's really very humbling, man. I tell you, I run a nonprofit as well, and here recently, especially, some people have come alongside and partnered with us, and man, it's so humbling, and that just inspires me to just like want to work harder and you know
I hate
get more
interrupting
people
these
on
videos,
board.
but this thing
So
is something that
I mean,
every contractor should have. It's company.
a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
said
It is the one piece of software every home service contractor should use to document their jobs. Every picture you ever take is associated to the address you took it. It's like Instagram for every project that you have. Give a link to the homeowner and share it to them while you're doing your inspection and win more sales. If you want to find out more about Company Cam, check the description below. Save a few bucks by following our link.
what I noticed as much as anything else was your team. Your team was, it's kind of like when you get forced into something, you rise to the occasion, right?
Yes.
It's what it struck me as with your team. So what it was, there was talent there, but they needed this opening for them to rise to the occasion. And now we don't suggest that anybody go get a heart transplant or anything like that to figure that out with their team. But would you say that that's a good thing for the team to create that type of situation where, hey, it's on you, you got to step up and do things? And is that a good suggestion, or would you say maybe not the way to go about things?
I think creating a succession planning at first, having everything set up, and then step back, in a short period, and then, come in, you're kind of there, and then step back for a longer period. That's what happened with our team, because there's so many different surgeries. The first time I was out, but I had my laptop, so I was able to answer questions, right? It was the second time, it was like, oh, he's in the hospital again, but we know what we're doing. They got more confidence. And then the third time, it's like, oh, he's having, another heart surgery, no big deal. By the fourth time, like, oh, he's just having his heart transplanted this time. It's no big deal. He's got this.
We'll see him in a few weeks. He'll be right back on. Yeah. So there's something to learn from that, like putting your team under the fire for a period of time to see what they rise to. That doesn't mean check out, right? Like that's not the thing. We got to come back in and like, hey, coach, and then give advice where advice is needed. But if they don't go through the experience, they don't ever grow into that position. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely agree. Because sometimes I find myself grooming or training somebody, and I put enough weight on them, and their knees start to break, and they just can't make it. No matter how much time I groom them, they're just something about them. Maybe they're not right for that position. So you need to make sure that you're, weight test your leaders or your team as you have out there.
Well, I see so many leaders that groom their team up. They're coaching them, they're teaching them, and they're like bringing them up. But they're always like a safety valve, right? There's a safety valve that you can rely on, and so they're empowered, but they're not autonomous, and that's a very different thing. And when you're autonomous, bad things happen. You got to make some decisions. There's nobody there to give you a backup. And I see so many owners not do that with their teams, not let them actually fail, not let them, we call it the figure it out factor, like go through that part of it, because that experience is so invaluable. Right. Because now they know, hey, I messed up and I would do it this way differently next time, or hot dang, I did that right. Good job.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a big takeaway from our conversation today. Like if you're sitting out there as an owner, if you're planning to get into a position where it's not running you every day and you're not in the day-to-day and you're not micromanaging, but you're macro managing, you got to give your team the opportunity to rise to the occasion. Cut them loose, let them know, like set it up even. It's nice because you were able to go, hey, I got surgery coming up. See you later. Like, I'm out of here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's really like, I would imagine you were fairly cut off from any communication for a good bit of time.
I was, in the ICU for sure. And, especially during COVID, I couldn't even, one person in, that's it. So not to see my kids, but I was cut off. Um, but as soon as I was able to get my phone, I was back on. So
Yeah, that's the owner right there for sure.
yeah,
Well, you're thinking about the next thing, right? Like that's what you're thinking about, and that's the way most visionary A-type owners think. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what are some of the next things for Shamrock? Because you have put in a lot of processes and systems and platform type stuff to run your business very effectively and efficiently. Where are you headed with things?
so Shamrock is number 57 on the top 100 roofing contractors, and it's a
High fives.
platform now.
That's good,
Yeah,
man.
that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. So, um, trying to break below 50 and grow as a platform. We are in 10 locations, and we are looking to still continue to open new locations, but we're also we have a power partner program, so we're looking to help other roofing contractors that are less than $10 million get on and grow using all of our processes of discounts, supplies and shingles and leads and marketing and everything else, so as well as acquire other companies that are at least a 3 million or 3 to 2 million EBITDA, so that we can bring on and create a platform and continue to support and grow throughout the Midwest and South Central.
Okay. So what does that look like from when you say the word platform? It can mean a lot of things. It can mean like I got a software platform or I've got these processes. What do you mean by that? Like, what are those like tangible benefits? Like, because if I'm running a roofing company and I'm doing, I don't know, 2 or 3 million bucks, I'm doing okay financially, personally, if we run it halfway clean.
Right.
What's my incentive? Why would I jump into something like that?
The freedom to do more, the freedom to make more, the freedom to have, the economies of scale. I have, friends of mine who I've helped, they're doing 3 to 4 million and they're pulling their hair out, no life at all, chasing the money, chasing, everything else. Because 3 to 4 million, I mean, it's really not that much. It's a lot for a lot of people, but it's not much for a lot of people. And so but you are burning the candle at both ends, running with your hair on fire. And this gives you the ability to, well, the tangibles are what you're saving in your material supplies when you're cutting a huge percentage, off of what you're used to paying. The labor network of crews for every single style of roofing system, residential or commercial. As well as the leads. With Shamrock, our website is so much butt weight. No matter what market we move into, we can be in the top 10 fairly quickly in no time. And that's, I think, a lot of contractors have been kind of late to the game on that. I came in from a technology, background, from internet marketing, when before e-commerce was around, you had to write in your checks and mail them off. And to be a part of these, groups, I mean, I'm a dork, right? So I have fun geeking out with this stuff. And so I've been working, with this side of the business. And so the leads aspect is one thing. The systems and processes is another. So
I would think the been there, done that part might be really valuable. And it may not be just you, like whatever others that you've acquired. Like, it sounds like you are the guy that's figured out the whole marketing thing. I can generate leads all day long. That's not a big worry.
Right.
And you've got other talents, obviously, right? But this guy over here might be really good at customer experience and service and performing the work. And this guy over here might be really good at buying and getting the right prices. And when you put all those pieces together, the sum of the parts is greater as a whole.
Absolutely.
And are you seeing any of that?
Collaboration, absolutely. One firm we're looking at in Colorado is mainly commercial, but they're really good, and we do a lot of residential, maybe only 10% commercial. So that cross pollination, that training from within, and we do a lot of commercial. There's not at all of them, but it's great to learn from other people what works, and plus when you're in that many different markets, there's a lot of different things in different markets, a lot of nuances about, codes, everything.
Every market, Colorado, especially with the codes, right? That's a elevation this and elevation that, right?
Right.
So why do you got a pretty good company, you're generating pretty awesome. Why do the merger acquisition pro contractor aspect of things, or power contractor, right? Why do this?
Great question. I could sit on the beach and rot. I've got 2 nice homes and a couple boats and all that stuff, but that doesn't make me happy at all. In fact, it brought me less joy. They told me when I was having the heart transplant that I needed to have less stress in my life. Go buy a boat and a house. So I go buy a house and a boat, and I'm sitting on the lake, and I'm like,
that seems more stressful. I have both of those things. They're both stressful.
Yeah. And so what I find brings me joy is being with everybody. When I get to go with the families of everybody that we're impacting and helping, that's a reason why I do it, why I help with Shamrock. The reason why I want to continue to grow the level that we're doing is because the space needs it, right? If you don't have a business person from an operator, a roofing operator helping grow the platform, and you just let all these other PE firms from outside of the industry that really don't know the industry, that aren't operators, that think they know best business practices because they're sitting behind a desk looking at financial models. Bad things happen when an industry gets ran by that. And so
when you let the bean counters run it, you're in trouble.
Right.
And so is the consumer, I think. I think the consumer is who pays the price on that whole deal.
Absolutely.
So there's something about you that really stuck out to me that first time we met. And it is this passion. Like, you have this absolute passion for this business. You have a passion for growing your own business, but you also have a passion for the other guys out there. Where does that come from? Why that?
I think that after, this near-death experience, of this new lease on life, it's all about helping people, and I just want to have an impact on everybody I touch going forward, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I know everyone can say that we all get in a wreck on the way home, and that's true. But when you think about it for 3 years and deathbed, and you kind of live a little different. And I don't really even consider these other roofers my competition, or they're regular good guys that are just trying to put an honest living together and make a difference. And if I have had some success, I just want to share that, so to make their lives, so they can do something.
You're on a bit of a mission now. Like, hey man,
Right.
I could have been gone. Now
Right.
that I'm not gone, there's something bigger and more important for me to be doing. And I noticed that about you.
But yeah, if it's time to age out and you're a contractor with a reasonably profitable, big enough company, I think it'd be a big mistake not to consider this.
So you've tied this into the sustainability thing that you're so wired for, right?
Adamant about, yeah.
And so there's this part of you handing the business off that said this makes this business sustainable beyond me, right? Is there some legacy thing there, or is it like you didn't want a third party to buy it and turn it into another name, or change the culture, or do any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you're kind of asking, is there ego involved here?
Well,
When you
not
say
really.
legacy.
Because I am like you. I'm glad that was your instinct, right? Because I'm like, there is no legacy about me. Like, it's not my legacy. I'm not doing anything that isn't already probably somebody else out there that can do it. But did you want to see it because of you want to see your business continue on past you, or did you see it from I want to see these people benefit from my business, or a little bit of both?
Oh yeah, it would probably be a balance of the two. That's a really interesting question. I would say that there is legacy. There is a certain amount of the last thing I would want is in 3 years meet somebody up at the cash register at the local grocery store and hear, well, you made out, but I'm out of business now because those people came in, didn't know what they were doing, or those people came in and raped the cash register or whatever it is. Plus, we tend to be relatively quirky little company, and it would be hard for somebody to come in and really understand all that was going on. But we have all those people in place now. I mean, my second gen leadership is powerful enough to tell me off in a hurry, and that's important.
We don't do it your way anymore.
Yeah, that was so last year, dude. So
is that
I would
weird?
say there was. Well, that's a whole different podcast in transitioning leadership now. God, you're a coach. You know as well as I that it can be very strange to no longer be the sheriff in town. Now I work at the pleasure of the board. I'm the CEO. I went from sheriff to CEO working at the pleasure of the board. It's very interesting and not always comfortable, honestly.
You better hit those performance standards. They might have to replace you.
I offered twice.
It's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you mentioned sustainability. Are we going to get into this triple bottom line thing? Because that's what I thought you were going.
I am headed there. But before we get there, I think people need to understand what the green industry is. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that. Is that something that you could briefly like go, hey, this is the definition of that?
No.
Okay. That's kind of what I was expecting. Because there's so many
it's
pieces
tough.
of it. I mean,
Yeah.
like people go, wind power is sustainability, green, and that kind of stuff. But then I have my questions like, well, those things cost $1 million and they got maintenance. I like, is it really? Like, I always have it. And same thing for electric cars. Like, well, we have to generate that electricity somehow, right? So there's all that kind of stuff. Where do you kind of draw the line?
Might be over my pay scale, and I mean that quite sincerely. As an example, I have 3 electric cars. I believe in them, but I'm terrified to know more about where the lithium came from in the batteries. I'm terrified to know that by the time they're no longer usable batteries, that we don't have an infrastructure that can reclaim the various elements. My son says it's not green, and he's smarter than I am, but electric cars aren't green. I think they probably are green, but we really have to just keep pushing on 2 major issues, reclaiming, recycling the lithium, finding more sustainable sources of lithium, which there are out there, other than the easy third world countries that are being, ravaged for the sake of it. And the other one is making a green grid. Continuing. Like I live in Oregon, where we have a very green grid here. It's like third greenest third most sustainable in the country. Lots of wind power, a lot of water power, a certain amount of solar, not as much. And so I'm happy to have a electric car. If I lived in West Virginia, I wouldn't drive an electric car. To be blunt,
that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
So you just got to go at it piece by piece and just do the best you can. And every time you spend $1, you got to make sure you're spending it in a way that you can believe in.
So let's talk about this triple bottom line thing. It's people, planet, and profit. Can you explain a little more about what that means as they come together?
Sure. So to me, business would be too self-serving if it's just about profit only. And I think the idea of capitalism, and believe me, I'm a capitalist, but capitalism run rampant means just, the next quarter's profits and the stock price, or you're going to lose your bonus, or the ever increasing wealth gap that we're seeing right now that we could talk about for too long, and point to the problems that it creates, not for the 0.1%, but for the bottom 50%. And it gets tough. So for me, business is perhaps the most powerful opportunity for change there is. Change, whether it's stopping the climate crisis that we're in, or creating better programs for people to succeed and live a fuller life, or whatever it is you want to say. So so business is this powerful entity that is not being used that way. But the triple bottom line, businesses that use the triple bottom line as their filter, where all three are equal. The decisions we make have to do with right for the planet, right for the people. And who are the people? The people who work here, our clients, our community, our global, the people we're sharing this earth with. And then profit. Profit is critical because without profit, you can't be a good planetary steward. You can't serve your people well. So they're all three just as important. Like milk a cow with a two-legged or one-legged stool. It's not. I would think that it's got issues. I don't know cows, so maybe I'm out of my area though.
Can you give me an example of some of the decisions that you may have made along the way with that lens that you're looking through? Because I can see how it could get a little dicey every once in a while. Like, man, there's this project we could do.
Oh,
It'd be
every
highly
day.
profitable, be great for my people, maybe not so hot for the planet, right?
Yeah.
Have you had any of those experiences?
Only every day. Every
And-
day we have to. It's hard. And so right now, for instance, we've made the decision on our West Coast team that all of our timber that goes through our program is going to be Forest Stewardship Council certified. And it's one of the few internationally recognized third-party people who decide whether the wood is sustainably harvested, as an example. And yet that adds money to the cost of our products. And we don't take a profit on, we don't take a margin on that particular part, but it still adds money. And so in that example, we're going to lose it. I'm looking at a job right now that we're going to lose because it was a big job, and it added another $35,000 to the cost. And that $35,000 is just one more straw on the camel's back that we might lose that job over. But so that's one. And one of my coworkers says, well, there is that $35 that we could take away. And we're like, you know what? I think we'll just leave it there. And, we're blessed with enough work that if we lose this one, so that's an example right there. Another one is right now we're working with healthcare for our coworkers.
You kind of determine your client, right? It has a lot to do with who your client is.
It doesn't actually. I'm a little surprised about that. So I was telling you that we do a lot of wood fiber insulation, right? So on the outside of stud walls, your contractors, this is the language we speak. The outside of stud walls, there's a thermal break often used. In this case, oftentimes it's like polyisocyanurate or high R sheathing to break the thermal bridge happening, for heat or cold to travel through the wall more easily. And for years and years, we used polyisocyanurate in an effort about 6 years ago to get away from petroleum products. We don't do a great job of it, but we were working towards getting away from it. And we're not purists, but this was an effort we were going to take. We decided we would switch from polyisocyanurate to the wood fiber rigid board insulation on the outside. And the first client we presented this to happened to be an oil man from Texas, right? And he was living up here, and he had moved up here, and his whole family was oil, and his legacy was oil. His last name was the name of an oil company. I just can't get his names right here. But I said to him, oh, by the way, our wall system uses wood fiber insulation. We're getting away from polyisocyanurate. It's just a goal of ours, and that's what we do. Pause. Didn't say a thing. I'm waiting for the hammer to come down on my head, He looked at it. He looked at me, thought about it for me. He says, "Sounds like a great idea." And on we went. I figured at that point, wow, if I can sell it to this guy, I can sell it to anybody. People want to do the right thing. Everybody wants to do. No, most people want to do the right thing.
That gives me hope. That gives me some hope. It really does.
Yeah, we never looked back. That's what we use on the exterior of our wall system is this wood fiber instead of petroleum-based polyisocyanates.
So, one more question for you, if that's okay. You got time?
Yes, I do. Thanks.
Okay. So why is taking a sustainable approach to business management a good strategy?
So that's a powerful question. And the answer is even more powerful because it brings you good people. Mm-hmm. Everybody will tell you that the money you pay them is certainly important up to a point. And, people got to eat and they got to raise their kids. But every survey says people want to work at a place that they believe in, doing something that they believe in. Job satisfaction goes up when they can share a vision that makes them feel right. So business like this, my coworkers are all mostly better than me in all sorts of ways. And it's because we have a shared vision, and it's a vision that they can appreciate. And when they look at their kids, they can say, doing what I can, man.
So which is more important to you? Sustainability or capitalism?
Jeez. I find capitalism to be a powerful motivator and a good economic organizer, not the corporate capitalism, all the corporate capitalism that we see, but the small business capitalism. I care about my people, but I care about my people as a capitalist. As a capitalist, I know that I can be I can compete and I can get stuff and I can motivate. So capitalism is a pretty important motivator. Sustainability is a reason to be. Sort of like, which do you like better, pork chops or ice cream? I like them both, man.
Okay. It's fair because I sit there and I have the same battle and I have these kind of deep conversations with people. I'm really good friends with one of the guys at Tesla, and he wants the world to get more focused on sustainability than capitalism. And I'm like, man, you're fighting an uphill battle, I think, especially in organizations that big, right? And the more corporate they are, huh? I'm sorry.
It's just a tool. It's just a tool. Capitalism is a tool, and it's a pretty powerful one. And if we use a tool poorly, then we're going to get hurt or we're going to hurt somebody. But if we use a tool well, we're going to do a better job. So for me, capitalism is a tool to be used well.
Oh, you're still here? Well, you must have thought it was great. Make sure to like and subscribe to Contractor Radio and never miss an episode because we're here to help you get better at what you do.